Become the man that every woman wants. Are you ready to feel irresistible? Reignite the spark in your relationship. I was accused by my wife of infidelity. How I kept my erectile dysfunction from ruining my marriage? It's a man's problem, isn't it? Certainly it is, but it's a woman's despair. Especially because very often, there is much more lost than just the obvious. Women have 4 different reactions to a man's impotence, says Margaret Rummage, a sexual relationship therapist. First is a feeling that she is not attractive enough or sexy enough. Second is a suspicion, the conviction that her partner must be having an affair. The third is the feeling of relief if the woman never enjoyed sex in the first place. Sometimes it can be a relief for both partners. And the fourth is the fear that there's something seriously wrong with her man, which he must be suffering from diabetes or working too hard. And this is just the beginning. My name is Neil Matson, and I am one of the thousands of men on this planet that fought with erectile dysfunction issues. It wasn't easy. When erectile dysfunction, ED, gradually began affecting me and my marriage, I was totally on my own. I didn't know anyone with this condition, had nowhere to go, and no one to ask for help. Nearly all men have periods of impotence after age. With long-term problems, it has been found that many cases of ED have a medical basis. So partners are often right to worry that their men are ill. It has to do with the way my erectile dysfunction shamed, humiliated, and almost ruined my entire marriage and life. I would like to say it is my wife's fault, and I don't have anything to do with this. But it isn't possible. My life is complicated, but I will try to describe it as best I can. What thoughts consume me every day, and how I found the way that solved all my black thoughts and all my inquiries. And once you know how this strange quirk of knowledge works, which I'll show you in just a second, you'll never again have to stare at a menu or a pill aisle and wonder what you should do. And more importantly, I will show you how I managed my ED without 1. Male enhancement supplements. 2. Expensive heart-destroying drugs like Viagra. 3. Or paying $2,000 for ineffective low-T therapy. Look what others say about those. What do you do when Viagra and Cialis don't work? My boyfriend is officially the Big 40. Although he has the sexual desire to be with me, he cannot sustain a full erection, and sometimes it doesn't get hard at all. He has tried Viagra and Cialis, but neither of them have worked for him. This is really putting a huge strain on our relationship, because we have been together for about 2 years now, and we have only had sexual intercourse once, and he wasn't all the way hard then either. So in turn, I didn't feel anything, although he did ejaculate. I'm very concerned, because he is thinking of getting a penis implant. I just think that should be the last resort. Does anyone know of any other medications, or maybe something to try that may help the situation? I'm at my wit's end here. Help! Hi, I'm a bit disappointed, as last night I took Viagra for the second time. The first time it appeared to work okay. I got prescribed it from my doctor. But last night I tried 50 milligrams again, half of a 100 milligram tablet. I felt pretty good initially, but then I flagged. Shouldn't Viagra keep you hard? I'm not sure whether to take 100 milligrams next time, or try with 50 again and face disappointment. I really don't know what's wrong with me. After applying this method for yourself, you'll begin experiencing the most powerful, full, and long-lasting erections of your life. No matter what age you are, and whether you struggle with full-blown ED, or just want to add a surge of vitality to your sex life. Now, if you're thinking this sounds crazy, or too good to be true, I completely understand. I used to be just like you, and I thought the only possible way to address my ED was by paying thousands of dollars per year to drugs. So all I ask right now is that you stick with me for the next few minutes, as I will give you the way to manage with ED troubles. A few years ago, I was about to lose my wife and to lose my marriage. I had a steady job in sales, and I'm also married to the woman that was the love of my life. Her name's Jennifer. We started dating back in the winter of 2005. Jennifer and I were perfect, I thought. We might not have had the most passionate relationship in the world, but we were compatible. like best friends. And I figured that's what matters. The passion always fades in a relationship, but companionship is forever, right? Well, boy, was I in for a rude awakening. Pretty much what the title says. We've been together for 8 years and married for 6. All went well until at one point when something went wrong. Indeed, we were never sexually active, but I always thought that this is normal in a relationship, so I didn't put too much thought into it. In retrospect, my ED clues started in 2009, though I wasn't sure then that something was wrong. Occasionally I wondered, but was scared to do anything. Sadly, I hurt myself. I noticed that my wife's behavior changed in the past few months, which was very bothersome considering we went from a close relationship to acting as two strangers. I remember it was a rainy day in October 2010 when I decided to go home early and surprise her with a big bouquet of roses. White were her favorites, and a bottle of champagne to celebrate our 3 marriage years. I entered the house with a big smile on my lips when I found Jennifer sitting on the couch crying. In the first moment, I got scared to see her like this, but I strengthened myself and I approached her. I wanted to take her in my arms, but she rejected me and started to accuse me that I was cheating on her. "What are you talking about, Jen?" I yelled. She didn't want to say anything to me and continued to cry. I caught her arm and forced her to look into my eyes and to tell me what the hell is wrong with her. She was staring at me, scared and angry at the same time, and tearfully she started to say to me, "You put a password on your personal phone, and for a while you were cold with me. I feel as though I do not exist anymore. Lately, you were guarding both your phone and your computer a lot more. You typed and clicked furiously while the screen was pointed away from me, but the second I'd walk up next to you, you'd switch to Netflix or something like that. I also noticed that you became much less physically affectionate with me. To me, everything pointed to infidelity. I've never been cheated on before, to my knowledge, so I could have been over-paranoid. But I don't think it was illogical to assume that something shady was going on behind my back." I remained speechless. I didn't know in that moment what to say or how to react. After a few moments, I took her face in my hand and told her, "You are, and you always will be, the love of my life forever. I've never cheated on you, and I never will. After all those years, how could you think this?" It was the first time we had a serious dispute. Things calmed down for a while, but we were still cold to one another and started to sleep in separate rooms. After a week or so, my wife comes to me, nervous, throwing some luggage in front of me and telling me, "Today, you will leave this house, and you will never come back. I don't want to see you anymore. Are you out of your mind? What is happening? You want to get rid of me or what? Last night, I saw you crouched over your laptop on the sofa, doing more of your furious typing and clicking. So after you fell asleep, I took your laptop to see what you were doing. I saw in your laptop history some websites, some sexual ones open. I was disgusted to see this. From that point, I am sure you were having an affair. I never believed that you would betray my trust like that. And I don't want to, and I can't, live like this anymore. So get out of this house. You've hurt me enough." As you can imagine, I didn't leave. She was totally wrong. But it wasn't entirely her fault, that's for sure. We got into a huge argument that primarily consisted of her cutting off my explanation attempts with nasty insults. Once I calmed her down, I explained everything. I showed her my 5-page Google Doc with all of my links detailing methods to deal with erectile dysfunction, and I showed her all of the text messages that I sent to my brother about this. I was very upset that she thinks I am capable of cheating, but I also realized that I made an awfully big mess for myself not telling her the truth from the beginning. At that point, I didn't know how to repair this mess. So this being said, all I wanted was giving my wife back the vital and powerful man she had been so desperately longing for and missing for more than a decade. But before that, we had a humiliating discussion. "Of course I love you," she said. "We've been married for so long. It's not a matter of love. It's a question of how unfulfilled I am. You just can't perform like you used to, you know? You rarely want to have sex anymore, and I think it's because you're afraid you won't be able to get an erection, even if you want to. I don't know if it's because you aren't attracted to me anymore or what. You make me feel ugly and unwanted. And now, I no longer want to even try to have sex with you." It felt as if she had just put me in the grave. It was that excruciatingly painful. Meanwhile, I was left speechless. That was not what I'd expected to hear at all. Then she continues, "Let's try to find a solution together. I want to save our marriage." We started to look around the internet for some reassurance. We searched erectile dysfunction and marriage, and what we uncovered surprised us a lot. One of the first things we found was a study conducted by Durex Condoms, polling women about sex. Then, I saw multiple articles and studies saying that a full 50% of women cheat on their mates at some point. She looked surprised to me, along with numerous studies presented at the American Sociological Association and published in the Journal of Sexual Behavior, saying that about 2/3 of women who cheat do that not because they want an emotional connection or attention, like I'd always thought. It seriously made my head spin. And so, suddenly, I was forced to face an incredibly ugly reality. That was what had given me a complete headspin. So we became desperate to find something that would help me to solve my problem down there. The first option we looked at was those male pills we always saw advertised on the TV, radio, and magazines. And because my confidence was so shaken, I became more and more afraid of being intimate. So I feel a bit strange to search and see all those things together with Jennifer. I didn't want to use pills, but it seemed like my most important part just wouldn't work without them, which left both my wife and me feeling extremely unsatisfied. We made the desperate decision to spend every waking moment of our time looking for a solution for my erectile dysfunction, studying how things like Viagra and other prescription pills for ED worked, and exploring any possible alternatives that wouldn't make me sick, nauseous, and broke. I told myself that if I could figure something out, some natural way to manage my ED, it would all be worth it. Because no matter what people say, you already know that sex is a vital component of your relationship at any age. It's what brings you and your loved one together. It strengthens your relationship. We looked at low-T therapies and realized that they are worthless when it comes to helping with ED. Of course, I looked at standard erectile dysfunction pills like Viagra, Cialis, and Levitra, along with a dozen less well-known ones. But besides the fact that they were all incredibly expensive, and that I had already experienced some of the less serious side effects when using these medications in the past, there were just so many other severe, life-threatening side effects associated with these drugs that using them terrified me. Take a look for yourself. In my most depressed moments, I thought that maybe I should even tell her to cheat on me, so that at least it wouldn't be a shock to me when she did it anyway. After a frustrating first month of studying ED medications, low-T treatments, exercise programs, and even over-the-counter extracts like Extenzine and Vital Male, I decided that I needed to go back to basics and spend less time looking at the treatments for ED, and more time looking at what causes our erection issues in the first place. So I began studying everything from biology and anatomy textbooks to academic journals, medical articles, and published studies. First, without getting too high school sex on you, let's look at how an erection works. Your penis has two chambers inside of it, and they are collectively referred to as the corpora cavernosa. The corpora cavernosa runs the length of the organ and contains a maze of blood vessels shaped like cavernous spaces. When the blood vessels of the corpora cavernosa relax and open up, blood rushes in through the arteries to fill them. That blood then gets trapped under high pressure, creating an erection. That information is all about what an erection is. Those are all fairly common knowledge. But the more I started thinking about this, the less sense it made to me why we would need to depend on pills or medication. Well, needless to say, that I used myself as a human guinea pig, testing virtually every single option available to me. I became depressive. I stopped believing that I would find something right for me. I also tried Eastern medicines like acupuncture, which didn't do much for me except creep me out, and cost me $60 per session. And I tried Eastern breathing exercises, meditation, and yoga. Those things relaxed me some, but certainly didn't help me get or maintain erections. I found several articles saying that some groups of food can help you manage this, but then the question came over: how to take, what to take, in which order? All of which meant that if I could find the right combination of these naturally occurring biological building blocks and figure out how to get them into my body the correct way, it only made sense that they would immediately improve my ability to generate and maintain erections both in the short term and the long term. Remember, all it takes to get an erection is relaxed blood vessels, which then allow the blood to flow in and create pressure in your member. So with the help of Jennifer, we wrote out all of those foods and supplements that we researched. The ones that contain the different enzymes and amino acids that were shown to relax blood vessels and increase blood flow. And we went shopping. Needless to say that I made all of those efforts because my wife supports me and she tried to increase my confidence. And that very first night, I started testing out different dietary combinations and writing down each one in my journal. After all, it just made too much sense why this should work, and I had zero other options. After 9 days, when I wake up in the morning, something incredible happens. Suddenly, I realized that I was getting hard. I looked at my wife. She was still sleeping, so I didn't want to wake her up. Needless to say, when this happens for the second time, I run to my wife, and I told her the entire story. At first, she was very skeptical and couldn't believe this was happening. And after about 30 minutes of talking, she turned to me with a weary smile and said, "Okay, let's try this." To be honest, I was nervous when she said that. The moment she kissed me, however, I became rock hard again, and all of my nervousness quickly went out of the window. Now I'll spare you the details, but let's just say that for the next 30 days, there was only one activity that my wife and I were doing in our spare time. That brings us to the reason I made this presentation you're watching right now. You see, at first, I thought about trying to sell this natural home formula I'd concocted to a company or manufacturer of non-prescription male enhancement products. I decided that the best bet for sharing my life story to as many men with ED problems was to make this presentation known. This is exactly what I'm going to do right now. Together with my wife, we decided to name it ED Management Guide. It's a natural method to rapidly manage your ED while giving you back the power and vitality you thought you'd lost forever. Inside, you'll get a full list of the different amino acids, enzymes, and proteins to add to your diet. You'll be told exactly how and when to combine them each day for the fastest results possible. What's great is that because there is just a few essential organic compounds that I've found to be widely productive, you'll have tons of variety here. You can pick and choose combinations, and without anyone even knowing that you're secretly managing your ED. You can easily adjust the program to a level that's right for you. All you need is about $25 worth of everyday items you can already get at your grocery store. And not only do you get results in the next 24 to 48 hours, but they last for life. That's because once those vessels are repeatedly relaxed using the method inside, they begin to stay relaxed naturally without any help at all. This means that while I recommend you just keep using this program once you have it, because there's no reason not to, And better blood flow in your body is good for you anyways. Imagine having the ability to achieve instant, powerful erections on demand whenever you want. Irvin from Florida, 45 years old, said, "Hearing that there is a natural way to get an erection whenever I wanted without taking pills seemed pretty unbelievable to me. After all, if I could manage my ED without anything but some grocery store items, why didn't I already know about this? Well, because I was getting tired of spending money on drugs, and because my love life had been suffering pretty mightily as a consequence of that decision, I decided to say, what the hell, and give your method a try. Neil, I am so glad I did. Within 48 hours, I was getting the fullest and most powerful erections of my life. I'm not kidding, it was incredible. Now my wife can't keep her hands off of me. And that's no problem at all, because I can respond to her as many times as I want, even several times a day." And Luke Maddox of Virginia Beach, 31 years old, said, "Before I found your website, I was miserable. To say my sex life with my partner had been bad would be the understatement of the century. It was more or less non-existent. The problem was that I couldn't take ED pills because of some chest pains I'd had in the past, and that left me with few other options. I had tried some herbal extracts, but when I looked at the ingredients, I realized they were nothing but a bunch of scary chemicals that were also side effect heavy. That's what makes the natural ED managing method you share in your website so special. I don't have to go buy any weird pills. I simply follow it and I get results. Really massive results, if you catch my drift. It's saved my relationship and it's given me my girl back. Thanks, man. I know you would do a lot to regain your vitality and to never feel anxiety or embarrassment when it comes to getting or maintaining erections again. But would you do it at the cost of heart disease, nerve disease, bleeding from the lungs, blood clots in the brain, chronic heart failure, seizures and diabetes, blindness, or depression? So how do all those sound to you? Ready to try this life and marriage savior? You can get the foods list, the full list of compounds and elements, and the guide to combining them, the daily portion amounts, and everything else. Ready, set, go. Your purchase will be completely discreet. So after everything you've just heard, it should be pretty obvious that there is nothing like the ED management guide anywhere in the world. What more could a man want? ED affects 100% of guys at one point or another. It's not that embarrassing. So if this is happening to you, you can't be shy. You just have to own it. This is an easy, affordable, and research-backed guide that brings incredible effects to your entire body. And if that is something that you want, then you need to grab this guide. Time is ticking away. And every single second you hesitate is another second that you deprive yourself of happiness and satisfaction. Now, it all depends on you. This guide is completely mobile friendly so that you can check out everything on your smartphone or tablet. And of course, if you prefer reading on paper, you can print out as many copies as you want. The answer to all your erectile problems is just a few seconds away, and all you have to do is decide to get your copy. Plus, if after everything you've just heard, you still need a little extra push in the right direction here, I have one last thing that you should know about. Your investment is covered by rock-solid, no questions asked money-back guarantee. Let me tell you this. By getting a copy of the ED Management Guide, besides all of the benefits presented before, I offer you this opportunity. 60 days, all the money back, guaranteed. So how does this work? Just to take all the pressure off your shoulders, I am throwing in my 60-day money-back guarantee. Just say maybe to this program and spend the next 60 days going through it and trying my unique combination of foods that help you manage your issue. Watch how you can feel good in your skin and how your vitality comes back. You have 2 full months, which is more than it took me or any other to solve this, to be satisfied with how high your manhood can be. And if you change your mind for any reason, just send me an email to the address provided on the next page in the members area, and you'll get your savings ASAP. No questions, no hassle. It's that simple. So don't forget, even though 47,921 other men have used the same program to do exactly that and more, and even though you've seen all the evidence that proves it is possible to use a few straightforward and affordable foods to do something that modern medicine has repeatedly failed to do, you still may feel some hesitation, which is completely okay. I know that this could very well be one of the most critical decisions of your life, something that could alter how your final years are spent. And I wouldn't be able to look myself in the mirror if I didn't make this as easy as possible for you. And this is why all you have to do is say maybe to the ED management guide and start enjoying life at the fullest. Once you've done that, go and get your new foods list, recipes, the comprehensive eating guidelines, and the easy-to-follow schedules. So actually, everything. Then, just start following it and add the foods to your shopping list or go out and get them today. Start adding them to your diet exactly how I lay it out in the guidelines. And then, experience the remarkable and jaw-dropping transformation. Remember, you'll have an entire 60 days, that's 2 full months to try this whole program. And if, for any reason whatsoever, you're not totally satisfied, I will immediately refund your entire investment. So you're up for a deal, my friend? This whole thing, it's about you and you getting your life back. My story is about to end, and by now I think that the choice should be an easy one. Of course, you could just let this presentation end and just click away without giving the ED management a shot, and that is your right. But what will change if you do that? Will you somehow find a new over-the-counter product that will suddenly solve your ED pain? Or will you just pop another ridiculously priced poison pill and hope that it works without any crazy side effects? None of these things have worked in the past for you or anyone else, neither for me. If you have difficulties with erections, you should know you are not alone. You belong to an enormous group of men. You never thought this is possible, right? Around 12 million, 13 million of Americans are having experience with some erectile dysfunction. Anyway, men at all ages have erectile problems, and they become more common with age. A recent study found that 52% of men between the ages of 40 and 70 had some level of erection problems. I know that these statistics won't fix your problem, but you may feel better knowing that you have lots of company. Others that try this guide already regain their vitality and force. I was glad when I received their emails and when I saw their progress in this challenge. Mike S. from Iowa, 54 years, said, "Hey Neil, just writing to thank you for making your ED management guide available to the public. I know it was probably a bit embarrassing to put your name on this thing, but you seriously deserve a statue for this, man. Since you've been so honest with your struggles, I'll be really honest with mine. Before I found your website, it had been 3 years since my last erection. No joke, I tried ED medications, low T shots, you name it. My doctor said there was some kind of blockage down there, and that the only way to fix it was through an elective surgery, which would cost $20,000, and my insurance wouldn't cover it. I don't have that kind of money, and I thought I was going to be screwed. But that was before I discovered your guide. Within 4 days, I was getting multiple erections per week, and since then, I've never had a single problem with getting it up. My doctor is amazed, but after I shared what you were doing, he said it made a lot of sense. He said that since your method was naturally relaxing those blood vessels, it was allowing the blood to flow in again. Well, anyways, I'm writing this to tell anyone out there who's considering your program, but who is still hesitant, do it now. Seriously, this is one of the greatest blessings in my life, and I'll be forever thankful." And Karat Makay from Palm Beach, 60 years old, said, "Let me start off by saying that I don't even suffer from ED. I'm 60 years old, and I guess I've always been one of the lucky ones who could still stand at full attention when the time was right. So when a friend gave me a copy of your guide, I was mostly just trying it out for curiosity's sake. But wow, Am I glad I did? It's one thing to have a normal erection, and quite another to experience an erection like the one following your plan will get you. I mean, it was like I had a pulsing power source down there. I don't want to gross you out, but it was just fuller, firmer, and more longer lasting than anything I'd ever experienced. I also found that my sex drive increased dramatically as a result of this, and my wife has been going nuts, constantly begging me for more. You're the man, Neil. Thanks. This is why you need to try the ED management guide for yourself, with no risk whatsoever. Grab the food list, the recipes, and the eating guidelines and schedules. Get it all in the next few seconds and see how easy it is to change your life completely. Free yourself from being held hostage by the bacterial captors who have been calling all the shots in your life for years. All I ask is that you give this guide a try. Don't just sit there hoping your ED will be fixed. I promise your sex life will never get better if you don't take action and try something new. You owe it to yourself to fix this area of your life. Get it today and you'll also receive the following 4 free bonuses made especially for you. Go for it. Here's the deal. Bonus number 1. Guide to overcoming premature ejaculation. Premature ejaculation affects up to 30% of men at some time in their lives, yet remains an embarrassing condition which people are uncomfortable talking about. Our guide to premature ejaculation will give you the lowdown on what causes the disease, the impact it can have, and advice on a variety of treatments. Bonus number 2. New Finding Fountain of Youth. This guide summarizes the aging theories, their underlying evolutionary mechanics basis, and the factors that are obstructing the management of aging. Bonus number 3. Life Plan for Health. No matter how you are in your lifespan, you need a life plan. Most of us do not like to think about aging, much less plan ahead for later life. Preparation is key to well-being as you grow older, and most importantly, to take care of health. Bonus number 4. Workout to go. Find your balance. Are you just starting to exercise? Getting back into a physical routine after a break? Wanting to keep up your physical activities away from home? The 13 exercises in this sample workout can help. In this guide, you'll find easy to follow strength, balance, and flexibility exercises that you can do anytime, anywhere. Chances are, this will work for you, and it's worked for thousands of men across the globe. In fact, it's not unusual to see an instant improvement in your lovemaking once you've got even just a very basic understanding of ED. Then, once you understand the root causes and manage your ED with a few simple tricks, your life can change completely. Don't let your erectile dysfunction be an issue because of diabetes, stress, or anything else. There is an efficient and available way to manage your erectile dysfunction. ED Management Guide.